Greetings. My name is Ras Asta Black, and I'm sitting here with Mr. Gordon. Mr. Gordon is the gentleman who do CanEx each year. Mr. Gordon, greetings.
Good to see you again.
Yeah, again,
Yeah, man, for
again.
sure.
Um, After being off the air for COVID period, what do you feel like coming back?
It feels great. It feels really, it's like such a blessing and an honor and really a privilege to try to pull people back together,
Mm-hmm.
to talk about the cannabis industry in Jamaica and the wider Caribbean and welcome people from around the world who want to, really mobilize to make this great plant successful, dynamic, and really help people.
Yes,
It feels great to be able to bring that back together again. Yeah.
of course, man. All the friends coming back together.
Well, you know what I like, what I really truly, I go to a lot of conferences.
Yes.
And what I'm really happy about is that, we have this spirit at CanEx, where people are really, I think, connected to the plant and really want to see the plant succeed.
Mm-hmm.
There's a prevailing sort of sense of want to build this legal industry, but we also want to find ways to be inclusive. You know what I mean?
Yes.
To pay homage to the traditions and the histories and the cultures that have made it so rich, not just in terms of globally, but for Jamaica and put it on the map as far as like how ganja is perceived and used and revered around the world. So I feel like we have a lot of people who genuinely care about that and genuinely want to see that manifest. And I think that gives us a really different point of view and a different energy that comes to
Yeah.
our conference. So I'm happy about that.
Nice. And do you think they're coming because of the indigenous Rastafari who have not yet seen an economic boost within the industry?
I think that's a huge catalyst. That's a huge driver of the curiosity in the industry in terms of where Jamaica sits. Forget industry in the terms of driving a business. Like from a consumer perspective, from an association perspective, Jamaica's hitting way above its pay grade, so to speak, because of its small size but impact on the globe.
Yes, yes.
And a lot of that has to do with the Bob Marleys and the Peter Toshes and the Bunny Whalers and all these folks who have advocated for cannabis, and globally people consume and they associate, and that has so much to do with the Rastafarian culture.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So the essence of people wanting to see that or being attracted by that, now it's a function of integrating that into an economic model
Yes.
that makes that works really for everyone. Because the thing to be mindful of is it's not just the indigenous and Rastafarian communities in Jamaica that are not making it in cannabis. It's also the licensed producers. They're not making it either. It's a very challenging environment.
Yes.
And I think the challenge is because we're doing what we've done expertly for so many years in the Caribbean, and that is being brilliant at not working together. For whatever reason, we seem to perfected this
Not working
this,
together seems
this thing of not working together. And here we are in a startup industry with startup businesses, which is, a very challenging hill to climb.
Yes.
And if we don't come together, then I don't really see how we expect it to work for anyone.
So the licensing commission, the CLA,
Right?
should be the ones that bringing us together.
Absolutely
and
not.
No.
No, it's not their responsibility.
Okay.
That's what we have to get to.
Yeah.
That's not their job. The
Okay.
job is that of us. It's of me speaking to you,
Yes.
as of a licensed producer, of an investor, understanding how do we want to shape this industry. The mindset that says the government's supposed to do this and the government's supposed to do that, nonsense. We put governments in power.
Of course.
And we have a responsibility to first identify what does a functional cannabis industry look like? How do we want those benefits to be derived? How are we going to attract people to invest into it and see a return on that? How do we shape that? And then how do we want the laws and the regulations to facilitate that? That's where we have to go, in my opinion.
So then, the industry itself, we put a group of people together, call them the CLA. Now, we put them there through the government, okay, a government structure. Now, it's us supposed to teach them the industry because they don't know. None of those people on the board know anything about ganja production or the marketing or the economic strength that ganja have for Jamaica. If the licensed people who they grant license to, do you think that's them? We don't want other people to come in and make the license so hard to achieve?
I don't think so. I think fundamentally what you have is wherever it was derived, you have a set of rules and regulations that
Yes.
were set up for what was at that time, I think, the best effort desired
Current time is 4:02 p.m.
to make this successful.
Yes.
Okay, I genuinely believe that when this was written, when this commission was put in place, it was with a real intention for it to succeed. Okay.
Yes.
However, what we have to be mindful of is this is all new territory.
Yes.
Okay, this is new territory. This is new ground.
For Jamaica.
Well, I mean, in many ways, it's still new globally.
Okay.
Because while you have some territories that have been doing this for a little bit longer,
Yes, yes.
in relative
Still
terms,
new.
this is still new.
True.
Okay, we have been operating in an environment where cannabis is bad,
Yeah.
right?
Yes, yes,
Quote
yes.
unquote.
Yes,
It's
yes.
illegal.
Yeah.
It's people are demonized for
Yes,
it.
yes.
Okay, longer than we have in one in which we have communicated and shared with people why it's so good
Yes.
and why it was demonized. Okay, it wasn't demonized because of use and real outcomes. It was
True.
demonized because people had competing agendas, right? And they were able to build a stronger story and build and build and build
Yes,
until we
yes,
ended
yes.
up with the war on drugs.
Yes,
Okay?
yes.
So that's all the history. But moving it forward, the regulations of the CLA, I believe, were formed with the best of intentions and with the best of knowledge available at the time by the people who put it in place.
Yes, yes.
That being said,
Uh-huh.
what we have as an industry
Yeah.
failed to do is actually outline the case for the economic benefits,
Right.
for the health benefits,
Yes, yes.
for the positive impact that a legal cannabis environment and industry,
Yeah.
will have for Jamaica.
Yes.
We have failed to do that
Why?
because we don't work together.
Together.
You
And
see,
then-
when we
no,
work together, we
yes.
still have to then identify how do we get people to take this seriously.
See.
Well, the only way for them to take it seriously is to understand
knowledgeable.
how it impacts the country,
Right,
and then how it
GDP and
impacts them.
everything. Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So one of the things, again, we can sit and gripe and moan
True.
till the cows come home, right?
Yeah.
But what we've done with CanEx is we
Yeah.
have commissioned a gentleman by the name of Bo Whitney, Whitney Economics, and he's done these sorts of economic impact studies
Sure.
for many different jurisdictions.
Yes.
So we've asked him to come and do one for the Caribbean
Mm-hmm.
and for Jamaica, so that instead of running around and telling people that it's going to create more jobs,
Right.
we're
Yeah,
going to
proof.
say how many jobs.
Yeah, yeah,
If
yeah.
we do this,
Yeah.
and this is the impact on GDP per capita it can
Yes,
have.
yes.
This is the reduction in money spent for medicines that this
Mm-hmm,
can have. This is a potential impact for adding to the tourism. The
Yeah.
tourism industry,
Yes, yes.
because you now have wellness opportunities.
True.
Canna-tourism is
Yes.
growing
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
in
yeah.
multiple jurisdictions.
yes.
So these are the things that we have to do,
Mm-hmm.
where you take talk, speculation, and passion and refine them into data
Yes.
that you can present, that you can defend. And when you do that for this industry in this country, I think people will be shocked to see how much growth can be derived from this industry. Jamaica's 3 million people. Everywhere around the world, as legalization falls into place,
Yes.
Jamaica has a turnkey, brand-ready opportunity. People
That-
know Jamaican ganja.
Yes, yes, yes.
And that has to be something that, from a
We-
very smart,
yeah.
strategic way,
Yeah.
we pursue.
What a beautiful island we have and we can't see it.
Well, there's an old saying, that sometimes you can't see the forest for the trees.
True, true, true.
And that's just really what it is. I would love more
Yeah.
people to go to all these conferences around the world, because then you can see Jamaica as
Shining
they see
always.
Jamaica. And then you come back and you say, okay, we don't have it right, but we now have the motivation to figure out how we fix it, because
Yes.
it's important.
Yeah. How do we get CLA to understand what you're saying?
Well, you see, I think we misplace this emphasis on the CLA's role, because why I say that is, And don't get me wrong, there's a number of things the CLA does that frustrate the heck out of this industry.
Of course.
But there are a lot of things that they do
Which
to facilitate it.
true.
And there are a lot of things that we as an industry should be doing so that we can make the right recommendations
Yes.
to facilitate their jobs.
That's
because
exactly what's
because
needed,
they don't, but remember, they're not independent. They belong to a ministry, and that ministry belongs to the government, and the government's going to move based on what it feels are the things that the people
Globally.
want.
Especially government to government organization.
Well, those are some of the things that I think impact how they move.
Yes.
But I don't think, I think this government is pretty autonomous, and I think they're going to move in a direction that makes sense.
True.
And then they're going to adjust those movements based on what the global environment might dictate.
Yeah.
But the big challenge is we have not, as an industry, in my opinion, maybe it's been done and I've missed it, we have not outlined a really strong rationale and communicated how this industry will impact Jamaica. It is powerful, it is significant,
Yes.
and it's important, but we've not done the job of outlining it. Because when you do that, and you have an organization like the CLA, their job gets easier,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Their job gets easier because you have a wider set of people that understand it.
Yes.
When they make their own recommendations, or when they take recommendations from the industry back to the folks who make the authorizations, they have a more receptive environment.
That's right.
So again, I'm not here to defend any particular entity, but we have to be
just want to
open, honest, and understanding.
And make the industry strong for
Absolutely.
all Jamaicans.
Correct.
Yeah, man.
Correct.
So, CanEx coming up, and Mr. Gordon, tell me the dates and tell what you have planned for CanEx this year.
Well, we're really looking forward to, I think this is a wonderful, it's our 5th anniversary, 5th CanEx, but it's 7 years since Jamaica, legalized. And that was our motivation to sort of provide this platform where we could exchange ideas and people could meet one another. And, I think it's really a reset time. I think that whole idea of coming together and being collectively sort of respectful on both sides. You have to understand everybody's objective, but at the core of all that we do has to be the plant.
Yes.
And is understanding the energy of the plant. So what we want to do this year at CanEx is really have a full representation of the Jamaican cannabis industry.
True.
We have a lot of folks coming in from different islands. So we have Bahamas, St. Lucia, Antigua, Trinidad, because they're new.
Yes.
They're coming on stream.
Yeah.
And there's nothing that I would want more. Well, yes and no.
Yes and
Sometimes the best lessons are what not to do. Eh?
True.
So, they're coming, and you have folks from overseas coming, and it's really important that we address the issues, we discuss the issues that are affecting Jamaica, but we do it in a manner that's solution oriented.
True.
Right? There's nothing easier than just whining and moaning and bitching and complaining. There's nothing easier than that, right? But it also doesn't solve anything.
It doesn't solve nothing, pure talk.
So we have to come into these discussions with a sense of understanding that another person's perspective is different than mine.
True.
Right? It doesn't mean that I'm right and they're wrong, or they're wrong and I'm right. Okay? It means that I should be able to listen. And then we can pull these pieces together and say, listen, these are the 4, 5, 6, 7 issues that we think are precedent to move this industry forward.
True.
And that's what we're going to focus on.
Yeah, man. So tell us the different days and the breakouts and the different vibes. What we're expecting.
So so we have great content as we always do. We always put a strong emphasis on the caliber of our speakers, the sorts of panels we put together. But then we overlay that with great networking. So we have a wonderful welcome party, which we always do up at the Johnny Cash Villa on the 14th, and then on the 15th is day 1 of CanEx. So we have the conference and the expo. And we're really hoping that, a lot of people who want to understand the industry, want to be exposed to the industry, want to get a bigger version and perspective on it, will come out to the expo in particular. It's a little bit more, it's a lot more affordable, right? For some people, that's a challenge. And we understand that. But it's still very rewarding and very illuminating, right? But of course, our conference takes place the same day, so that's when it opens. Thursday night, we're going to have a high vibes party. Right, so it's a more of We've done that with a few dispensaries. We're looking at dispensaries this year, but we're also exploring a slightly different concept for that.
Are you going to do that on in the venue? Are you
No,
going to
no,
do
no,
that
no,
off?
no, no. That'll definitely be that won't be at the convention center.
Oh, okay.
And that's one of the things we're still massaging because
Uh-huh.
they have a couple options of where we put it, but I really want to make it accessible.
Sure.
I really want that to be a place where people can feel the vibe of Jamaica and feel the vibe of this industry and
Yeah.
understand that cannabis, psychedelics,
Yeah, man.
plant medicine. It's
We need
it's
the
it's
vibes.
it's it's
We need
it's a
the vibes.
natural
We
thing
have
in
to have the-
Jamaica.
yeah, we
This
have
is
to
like
have
an
the-
energy center.
And we have to display and give that vibe.
Absolutely.
It have to
So,
be there, yeah.
so we want that. And then Friday we have the conference at Expo again. But
Yeah.
Friday we also have our awards, which will be as part of the Expo.
Yes.
So that we're giving, we have a Peter Tosh Award, we have a Marcus Garvey Award we've added this year, and a few other awards for different
Yes,
things. So we're excited about that. And then Saturday we have our inaugural golf tournament. So we have a golf tournament this year.
Uh-huh.
And then we have our all-white party. So we moved that to actually this beautiful location we're at, which is the
Oh.
Rose Hall Beach Club.
Yeah, man.
And that'll take place on Saturday afternoon
Oh,
into the
cool.
evening. Yeah.
So right here going to be an
Yeah,
event.
man, yeah, man.
This is such a beautiful area.
Lovely, it
People,
is.
yeah, lovely. So cool vibes this year, man.
Always,
Yeah.
always. There's a lot of, I think, there's a lot of passion, a lot of it for this industry in Jamaica,
Yeah.
and as there should be. But what I think we need to do is sort of like corral that energy, focus it, and then start to present the information and the data to the government and other stakeholders in a manner that they can start to move the industry forward.
Yeah.
Because it's happening. I've had the privilege, as I said, of going to a few different conferences, and I can tell you I was in Germany in much of July, and what is happening over there. You're starting to understand the large economic impact that it's going to have and the size of the market globally that's going to be opening up. And I tell you, it's really, really tremendous. And we're not even in the starting blocks right now.
Yeah.
This industry has not even started. So it's really important, I think, that we correct course a little bit in Jamaica. The first thing being that we find ways to collaborate and work together respectfully. The whole thing about cannabis and the plant is just about energy and flow and, you know what I mean?
Yes,
Community.
Yeah, yeah.
And yet here we are trying to build an industry around this plant, and we're not being very community driven.
True.
So that needs to change and quickly.
Rastafari, I feel like as is a Rastaman, and it's like I'm around Rastafari every day, and their complaint is that we suffered in growing this and making it medicinal for us. Where my mom used to put some in a bottle with some pimento seeds, some this and that and that. It was a medicine. But we're not seeing the economic benefits from this big industry. The government, the CLA not letting us in because the cost of doing business in the cannabis industry is too exorbitant. Is there any panel that can meet with the CLA and with industry people to clarify that?
No, there's several discussions that will tackle that.
Yeah.
But one of the things, again, we even have a company out of the States, and what they do is incubation, right, of cannabis companies. Because I've been, I've been there, and we've had folks from different co-ops and growing associations present, and I've been witness to discussions, and what you realize is, in some instances, not all, but in some instances, this huge desire and passion, but some folks don't necessarily have the experience and the tools and the understanding of what it takes to put a full business together around cannabis, right?
Yes.
And running a business that is now in a compliant industry, a very regulated industry globally, which is cannabis, right? You have to do things in a certain way.
Yes.
And the truth is, what we must ask ourselves sometimes is, how do I want to participate? Because, owning a regulated business, particularly one like cannabis, means, for a person who knows about the plant, who understands it, who can commune with it, is that person really also want to be negotiating leases, terminating staff,
Right.
understanding that if one of your employees does something egregious, you still don't get to just fire them.
True.
There's a process,
Yeah,
and if you
yeah.
don't follow the process,
Ministry of
this
Labor.
egregious thing that just happened and you responded rationally will cost you a lot of money.
Yeah.
Because
It's a
it has to be
business.
done a certain way.
It's a
So,
business. I
the
as a farmer know
security,
that, yeah.
the security protocols,
Yeah, man.
there's a lot of things. And so we believe incubation is very important
Yeah.
because I want us to find solutions
Mm-hmm.
to facilitate people having licenses and businesses once they fully appreciate what it takes,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because now they're ready. And now we need to take the incubation component, and that's what one of these entities is coming, one of the at CanEx. So they do incubation. It's called Cannabisiac, right?
Okay.
And so we've partnered with them in the sense of how can we help people to go through your course, right? And then how can you then get them to a point where once they've gone through their course and you can sort of give them that certificate or whatever that they understand it,
Yeah.
now how can we work with you to get them funding?
True.
You know what I mean? But it's only after they've gone through that process.
Right.
And the truth is, some people might listen to me and say, Chuck, I've been doing this for so long, I don't need to go through any course. And that's a fair knee-jerk reaction.
True.
But it's not actually helping them. Because at the end of the day, I would hate for someone to go, whether the fees came way down and they got, their savings, some family savings, some
Yes.
friend savings, and
To
they start
repay.
into a business,
And then
because they didn't understand all the complexities,
can't make it.
they have problems. You know
Not
what I
a
mean?
proper
I'd rather
business
you,
plan and nothing. Yeah.
yeah, I encourage people to really get a full sense of what is it like to operate in the legal space, and move from there. Because I'll tell you, while there's a massive opportunity, even today, right, for ganja to be exported, we're not producing, and this is, people might not want to hear this, but we're not producing today the caliber, the consistency across the board that people can just say, I can import from Jamaica.
Yeah.
And
Clean,
so-
clean
and so-
ganja and things. Yeah.
The alpha toxins, the heavy metal, all the
Yeah.
testings that
Yeah,
have
yeah,
to be
yeah,
in
yeah,
place.
Yeah.
But so that's why I say the ways that we need to also work together to find solutions so that, even if it's to encourage a testing facility to come
Yes,
by
yes.
pledging them that we will give them a certain amount of business.
True.
These things have to happen so we can get the test results in a prompt fashion. So that when people are out there and saying, I have this type of product that I can offer you,
Yes.
it's not taking 2 and 3 months to get test results back.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're able to have extraction facilities that have the kind of capacity that they can, even companies that exist today can take the leap of faith to expand their operations.
True.
Because they know now that we are producing, we are operating at a level where we can meet demand in the
Yeah.
international market.
Yes.
It really hurt my heart the other day for a person to say, I was like, yeah, you should be doing more business in Jamaica. And they're like, we've tried. People ship late. It's hard to communicate. It's not.
yeah.
It's a pain in the neck.
True.
And then when we get it, it hasn't been cured properly, and blah 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 blah. And yeah, that might be, a few rotten apples spoiling the bunch.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
but at the end of the day, when we have an industry that's not smoothly operating, that seems not to be all together, that's just one other element that makes it less attractive
Yes.
for business that exists today
True.
for us to get.
Yeah.
So we need to fix these things so that all the
And
business
it's-
is available.
Yeah, man.
We
And
can
it-
pursue it.
And it's right across the board. We are known to be a sample island. Give out the best sample, but we can't keep up with the manufacturing.
Oh, that's interesting. I never heard that before. That's an
Yeah.
interesting
There is-
perspective on it.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, but it would be a crying shame, and if it's one thing that I'm going to try to do through CanEx and facilitate is not to get us to a position where we're like, oh gosh, woulda, coulda, shoulda,
Yeah.
because
we can.
Jamaica, it's remarkable.
Yeah, man. The brand is big.
Yeah, but I mean
And-
the lyrics and the utterings
Everything.
of Bob Marley and Peter
Yeah, man.
Tosh well before
Rastafari.
their time, Rastafari.
Yeah, man.
It's all around the world, man. And so for us not to, just because we won't come together and get our stuff together
man.
to take advantage of that,
Yeah.
that'd be a crying shame.
And we have that in Rastafari too. We talk and talk and talk, but we even had Rastafari on the cannabis board, and no result. So we need a strong board that can lobby government for what we suggest to be the laws of cannabis licensing and how we can move forward to production and export and so on. And even build our tourism sector on the legalization or the ganja vibes.
Yeah.
Ganja vibes.
It's a huge, listen, it's everybody knows it's a huge market.
Yes, yeah.
You know, the consumption levels in terms of like, you know, and when I say levels here, I'm talking about, you know, the tiers of Jamaican society. You know, consumption is at the highest level.
True.
The big man, they all do it, right? But at the same token, just because I like, you know, candies doesn't mean I think there's a candy industry.
True.
And that to be a candy industry in that analogy, you have to do the things that every other industry does to support, justify, and encourage promotion of the industry, and we haven't done it.
No.
So we can't sit here and point fingers if we don't do all the things that we can do to move it forward.
We're still in the 500J bag of ganja and then gone. We're still into that. And we need to move away to big money.
Yeah.
Especially Rastafari.
Listen, again, I truly believe that a first step in all of this is to understand economic potential.
Yes.
And my great hope is that all these various constituent groups, Rastafari, the licensed producers, you know, this Ganja Growers Association, this co-op, when they understand that, it becomes much more of a collective movement. Because we realize that this is significant, and this is something that can change the lives of folks in Jamaica. So we each have our own responsibility to put our little, you know, personal egos and opinions to the side in order for the greater good.
You think the Rastafari always look, we are not in an economic strength,
right,
to afford your entrance at CanEx. What is it like?
Well, I mean, the conference is $290, right, for the 2-day conference side, which is where you go into the panels and you go to the keynotes and stuff like that, right? The Expo is $50 for the 2 days, but you can get a 1-day ticket, which is $25.
Yeah.
You can also get a 1-day ticket this year for the conference, and that's $195.
Okay.
Right? I mean, we've worked with various groups, you know, to facilitate Rastafari and other traditional and other folks who not necessarily belong to Rastafari, but they have a passion for this.
Yes.
And we've always tried to work with them.
And those people, especially people who have interest in getting into the business, they should be able to afford it, because that's a business. Part of your expenses as starting a business or staying in business.
I can genuinely tell you that the caliber of folks that we have that come from around the world that are accessible, this is one of the beautiful things about this conference, in my opinion, right? Is you have like very influential folks, world leaders, and they all come with a mentality of who needs my help? Who wants to talk to me? It's not about like, I do my thing and I'm out of here, or who are you? It's not, we don't have people like that.
Oh, fantastic.
That come to CanEx.
You think,
so not to cut you, but so when you think about it, to get access to some of these folks in an environment where collectively people are willing to field your questions, willing to give you advice, willing to connect with you and give you their cards so we can connect in the future genuinely, right? For $290, how else do you get that?
I know.
Are you going to fly to Miami? Are you going to fly to London? Are you going to fly to Toronto?
More expensive.
Exactly. And then when you go there, you're just one of a blob, and it's not the same vibe.
You don't feel that little vibe.
Speakers there are not trying to like
they're not
speak
in
to everybody.
They're not in Jamaica,
Correct.
so they can't be speaking like.
Exactly.
So when people come to Jamaica to do business with us here, and they feel, they smell the vibes, they feel they're in Jamaica, it's so much more comfortable for them to reason with us.
Yeah, it is. I mean, and again, around cannabis, it's a very different.
It's a cool vibe, man. I love it. I love it. I asked the CLA last time in an interview I did with them, where do they put the money when they sell a license? because no banks are allowed to accept drug money like how America says drugs. So, and we are aligned with all of these foreign banks. Isn't it difficult for cannabis to
It's extraordinarily difficult, and it's also completely hypocritical, right? That you can say this is the fee.
Yeah.
You can't pay me in cash, knowing that they can't bank it,
Right.
but you still have to make sure I get my money. So there's some things in there that have to be worked through.
Yeah,
but again, I go back to a place that says, you know, what is it? I forget the thing for Jamaica. No, it skips me now. But anyway, you know, how do you reinforce that? If I am concerned with myself and my license, and I say this is frustrating, this doesn't make any kind of sense, and then a person says to me, yeah, I get that, but you still need to figure it out. And I go ahead and I find a way to figure it out for me. What happens to the next person? It's the same thing, right?
Yeah.
It's the same thing. It's the
We
same
don't
thing.
collaborate.
Until we say, guys, hold on a minute.
Let's,
What are your fees that you're paying? 50. Okay, so this is like $500,000 we're paying
man.
here.
Yeah.
We need to come up with a solution that works for us
Yes.
and gets us past the CLA issue.
yes,
Because
yes.
I am sure they would also want to facilitate an easy solution for people,
Yeah.
right?
So then
But because we leave everything to one, I know the big man. I did it on my own.
Under the table.
Nothing gets sorted.
Under the table.
I don't even mean under the table.
Oh, okay.
I don't even
You
mean
get
that. I
your
just
blind.
mean simply.
You get your blind.
Exactly. I have my relationship.
Yeah, man.
And the truth is, individually, these relationships have demonstrated that they're not worth even the oxygen we spend talking about them. Because you need collective power.
Of course.
You need solutions
Unity is
that
strength.
favor, that
Yeah,
person
man.
in power that says,
It's
I
for every-
want you guys to find a solution.
Yeah, man. It's for everybody.
But you got to come with one.
Yeah, man.
And you say, this is how it's being done in Colorado, this is how it's being done in Canada, this is how it's being done over here.
Yeah.
And we say, okay, cool.
Let's work.
There are solutions to every conundrum.
Yeah, of course, man.
And I'll tell you one more thing people need to be very, very cognizant of. When you talk about banking, and you talk about, well, as soon as the US federal approves it, then we're good.
Yes.
You have it all wrong. Because as soon as the US federal government passes cannabis, it doesn't matter whether you're Rastafari, whether you're a female, whether you're black, whether you're this, whether you're that. This industry will pass all of us like a full bus.
Oh, yes.
Because there's so much money, deep-pocketed money on the sidelines waiting to jump in because they understand the significance of this industry into the future. Our time is now. Our time is being creative. Our time is being collective. And our time is being strategic.
True.
Right? In coming up with solutions in the short term so we build our footprint. I much prefer a situation where the Rastafari community could be offered a ton of money for their stake and choose not to take it. Or choose to say to a person, hey, we have our business going and we're comfortable with it, but we're more interested in the authenticity of it, and we know we can get ourselves to a certain point on our own track.
True.
If you want to supercharge it, you can invest into what we do, but you can't take over what we do.
True.
And be in that kind of position. And everyone in Jamaica should be able to make those decisions, but we got to get out of where we are today.
True.
Which is just spinning top in mud. We got to make some traction, and we got to do that.
Mr. Gordon, you have any closing remarks?
No, yes. I think I think this is a reset moment for us to go from fragmented to consolidated and stronger into the next iteration of cannabis. This is Jamaica Cannabis Reimagined 2.0. That's how I feel. I feel like even the evolution and dynamic growth of psychedelics in Jamaica, mushrooms, with cannabis, we really have this opportunity in terms of plant medicine to do something significant in a place where so much of this has been birthed and honored and sort of like shared around the world. And I really hope that people will come to CanEx as an opportunity to learn, as an opportunity to network, and as an opportunity to really understand how they can participate in this great opportunity that's before us. So hope to see you guys there.
One love.
Yeah.